Hello, Jennifer Campbell here, your online systemic leadership mentor. We've arrived at the third phase in a systemic change leadership journey called Shape the Shift. And today I want to talk to you about step number 7, which is all about self-organization. Now, in this video, you will learn about the importance of enabling and facilitating self-organization in your company and how this will help you with change leadership success. Now, if one thing becomes apparent in this video series, then it's about building a sufficient level of adaptability in your organization so it can thrive in an increasingly complex world and so it can deal with constant and increasing amounts of change. Now, even though the business case for this is clear to many, that doesn't mean that you can transition into this overnight. And that's why developing self-organization is an important step in this 9-step systemic change leadership journey. It's really about starting to build change and change capacity, really, and adaptability. And you really need to organize yourself the adaptable way also. Now, part of the approach towards self-organization that I'm sharing in this video also includes my learning from Systemic Leadership Summit speakers such as Brian Robertson, Daniel Brown, and Christian Schuler. Now, why is changing to self-organization so difficult in organizations? Now, I want to share a number of reasons, and I'm not saying that it's limited to these, but these are the ones that I want to share with you today. Now, number one is self-organization is not something that we're used to, especially in our work and business environments. We're so ingrained by being managed by someone else. And so when we look at the bosses, teachers, parents, what they teach us, then it's so often about fulfilling their expectations and has less to do with self-organization or self-management. So when you tell a team, for example, that it's responsible for managing itself, then will the team know what we're actually talking about? And so self-organization is just a phrase to many people and not something that is tangible or real yet. So what a team needs is a concrete experience with self-organization or self-management before it can truly understand how to manage itself and how to take the responsibility and authority for planning and conducting its own activities. So it's a changing dance. It's about the leadership helping the team to acquire this experience, but it's also about the leader learning how to overcome their own tendencies to manage the team. So both the leader and the team need to learn anew how to approach the issue of organization or of management. Now, having said that, this leads to the second reason why it's not easy to transition to self-organization. And this has to do with the tendency for us to interchangeably use the concept of self-organization and the concept of self-management. Now, let me explain how I have come to learn the difference between the two. Self-organization in a team means that a team is given responsibility for the realization of a product or a service. So the team serves an internal or external customer, and the organization enables the framework within which the team is allowed to make its own decisions. So the team can adjust the frameworks in consultation with management, but in self-organization, the strategic decisions or the initiative to do so are always in the hands of management. So simply put, teams are responsible and the management remains accountable. Now in self-management, teams have complete freedom to set goals and to think about how they want to achieve those goals. So based on their responsibility and knowledge, they're able to make strategic decisions themselves. So sometimes the teams go as far as determining which team member will get which compensation. Self-management is often seen as the next step beyond self-organization. So this means that teams are both responsible and also accountable. So that's the difference between the two, and they're not exactly the same. The third reason I want to mention in this video about why it's so difficult to move into self-organization is that we do not allow enough time, and we don't start early enough in developing more self-organizing capacity within our organizations. So transitioning from hierarchy and control-based to self-organization-based teams takes a lot of time. It's about changing the organization's DNA, especially if it wasn't built like that from scratch. It's very difficult to move into self-organization. It's not impossible, but it takes time. And so trying to implement self-organization through shortcuts is really doomed to fail. So what can you do to build this self-organizing capacity? What are ingredients towards self-organization? And in this video, I would like to share 6 steps that you can use, implement, experiment, and explore with to make that happen. And the first one is to be purpose-driven. It's really about getting a true awareness of the bigger systems around the team or around the organization and understanding how their goals tie in with the bigger context and what the bigger context is moving towards. So the key question is, what is the bigger purpose of the largest system or systems around us? So for a team, that could be an organization, and for an organization, it could be its industry or the bigger customer group they serve. Now, secondly, what's also very important is to understand and answer the question, what is our contribution to this bigger context around us? What are our goals? And so self-organization is not yet about answering this question ourselves as a team or organization, but it's clearly given by the outside context. So for a team, it's the leadership, and for an organization, it's its customer base. The third step is about recontracting the organizing principles of structure and roles. So this involves asking the question, how do we organize ourselves? So what structure takes away hierarchy and gives roles different responsibilities and more ownership than the traditional control-based ones? This is where management can still indicate boundaries, but it no longer makes decisions within the team. Step number 4 is about bringing in more disciplines. So multidisciplinary teams can often come up with new solutions to complex problems because by the very makeup of the team, they match the complexity level of the problem, and they're able to make more new combinations than a less diverse or a less multidisciplinary team. So it's really about the question, how do we allow for sufficient diversity to tackle problems and find solutions? The 5th step that I want to share is about the question, how do we process through differences to move forward and make decisions? So this is really about developing mastery in dealing with conflicts, dealing with difference, and decision making, and how that is regulated within the team or the organization. So, for example, in Systemic Change Leadership Journey, in step number 6, I thoroughly discussed how I view difference integration and the importance of building that skill, building that capacity within a team or organization, because you're really going to need it in the self-organizing space. And step number 6, the last step I want to share in this context, is about adding more entrepreneurial elements. And the key question here is, how can we take more and more responsibility for our system within the wider system around it? So 6 ways of self-organizing and toward self-organization. And having said that, self-organization is only a small part of a more effective systemic change leadership strategy. Now, if you've been following the videos in this series, then you'll know by now that the Systemic Change Leadership Journey is a framework, and it's something that we use to help leaders increase their complex change leadership success, usually by 50% or more in terms of ROI within only a couple of months. And by applying this framework, they have a massive impact and can take their organization from surviving to thriving without wasting a lot of time, money, and energy on one-size-fits-all change management and leadership methods that just don't work. So if you want to get crystal clear on the one thing that you could be doing right now to move towards more self-organization in your business, or if you want to learn more about the Systemic Change Leadership Journey, then book a complimentary call with me. And you can do so by clicking the link below. And when you do, we will take a look at your organization during this call and explore how you can improve your process of self-organization. We'll also zoom out to the full Systemic Change Leadership Journey. And at the end of our call, you will have an overview of your most important systemic change leadership strategy steps to work with in your organization. So I really look forward to speaking with you soon. For now, I'd like to thank you so much for watching. Take care. See you next time. Bye-bye.